It is with a heartfelt joy that I welcome you to this 21 Days to Life program. We all want to start 2025 on the best footing possible. And so this is going to be a process that is going to be repeatable for you so that this next 21 days sets you up for a phenomenal year. And I can't wait until we get to the end so that we can see all that you've achieved. I am Dr. Denise Rollins, and for whatever reason, you agreed to be part of this journey with us over the next 21 days. But as your hostess, as your coach, as your facilitator, as your partner in this journey, I think it's important that you know a little bit about who I am. If I were to give myself some adjectives that make my heart smile, I would say I'm a lifelong learner. I am a visionary. I am a creator. I am someone who sees the need to make a difference in this world and doesn't just wait for it to happen, but says she has to be part of that process. So I am so excited that you're here today. When you look at my background, I think it becomes part of your education and your experience. So I went back to school later in life. I got a master's in thanatology, which is the psychological study of grief and death, and then went on to get a PhD in marriage and family therapy. The idea was I had been through four sudden and tragic losses in my life, and I knew what I needed after the fact. And so, in getting a degree in marriage and family therapy, I decided to be a life coach because I felt like that was the bridge between my community and the therapists who were highly qualified to help them. So, in terms of my career, I, at this current time, lead two nonprofits, the nonprofit Whole Heart Center, located in Frederick, Maryland. We serve people throughout the country. And our job is to help people who are dealing with grief from both life and death. Because it's one thing that when people die, we grieve, but we also grieve life situations like divorce or the lack of self esteem. And so we help people with that. And then the second nonprofit I lead is called the Black Health Equity Coalition of Frederick, because we quickly learned with Whole Heart that we can help them with their mind, but if we don't help them with the rest of their um, being, then sometimes they were in trouble. So physical health, mental health, spiritual health, financial health, even residential health. I'm currently the acting executive director for that. So that is me. I am glad to meet you, but I just wanted you to know who you were talking to today. So I love to start each session with a check-in. And so the check-in today, I want to know how you are feeling in this moment on a scale of 0 to 10 as you stand on the edge of 2025 and you look out into the landscape. 10 being, I am so sure that this is going to be my best year yet. So if you're a 10, write that in the chat. If you are a 0, I have no clue, or somewhere in between, please share. And then now let's go into a little bit about what we're going to focus on today and in this program. So here's the structure of the program. You will get a handout that will allow you every day to write down the question of the day. You'll get a question that I pose to you that'll help you make those 21 days to life. And so you write down the question, and while we're together, write down your initial answer to that question. But sometimes when someone asks you a question, what we give is our surface answer. So what I'm challenging you to do is throughout the rest of the day, keep pondering on that question. Your pondering might look like just really sitting down and thinking deeply about the question, but it also may be asking people, what do you think? What do you think would be my answer to that question? So that by the end of the day, with that additional reflection, you're able to go back and finish your answer to that question. Then when you come back the next day, we'll review it a little bit and get to the next question. Each question will take us deeper and deeper into that 21 days. So what I'd like to do with you right now is to show you the document that you'll be receiving so that you can work with us through this process, number one, but also you'll be able to um, document the good work that you're doing. So the 21 Days to Life program, you'll see a welcome that reminds you about what we're trying to do on the very first page. On the second page, it's a document that allows us to make some declarations for this new year. So periodically during the program, I'll tell you to come back and in one of these squares to write a declaration. My goal is when we get done with this program that you can constantly come back to this declaration page, that it keeps your vision clear about where you've been, where you are, and where you're going, and how you're going to make sure that you are going to stay on track this year to come. And then what you'll find is every week that we will have a focus. Like this very first week, our focus is, who are you really? We'll be asking the question that says, yeah, you think this is who I say I am. Who am I really? That'll be from our own reflection and even asking other people questions. And then so for each day, you can put the question in the box and then your initial and later answer. So I'm so excited about you being able to take advantage of the resource that we have given you. And at the end of this 21 days, we're going to hold that document up. We're going to celebrate our progress and we're going to set a path for the rest of 2025. Hope that makes sense to all of you. All right. So here's the focus for today. When I ask, who are you? Who are you really? In the beginning of each year, many people set out New Year's resolutions. These are the things that I want to do. These are the things that I want to do differently. So some people set out those resolutions, but then other people say, I'm going to do something like a vision board. I remember the very first vision board that I did. It had the house that I wanted. It had the car that I wanted. It had the job title that I wanted. It had all of that stuff that seemed to be very important to me at the time. And it really was. And so you set out to say, this is what I want to get. But the question is, who do you want to be? And that idea of who you want to be takes it away from the tangible things, the things that I will get, to what underlying that, who I need to be in order to get it and also to have joy. You know, if it was only about getting stuff and getting money, and that's the only thing that would make you happy, then we would not see celebrities who actually take their lives because they've got the stature, they've got the money, they've got the opportunity, but yet they don't have the peace. I fundamentally believe that that peace comes from actually being centered and knowing who you are and where you're going and how you want to interact with this world. So my challenge to you today, my question for today, the question that you will write in that box, and we'll be emailing that document to everybody. So right now, just write it down wherever you can, is, what is the word that will guide you in 2025? What is the word that will guide you in 2025? Some of you have already picked out a word for the year. And if so, writing down that word and the why behind it or what it means will be very important. For those of us who don't have a word, I want you to think about what's most important to you and what will a word that will motivate you. Many years ago, when I did this process for the very first time, I was like, I have no clue. So I was picking sexy words like, I want to be dynamic, or I want to be, one of the words was well known, because I felt like I had a gift to share with the world, and I could only be that if I was well known. Well, they tell you just to keep meditating on what's the word, and the word will come to you. That didn't seem to make sense to me back then, but I went with the process. And I remember when that word finally popped up in my mind, and I knew it was the word because it was the word manna, Manna. It is a biblical word and is the provision that comes only from God. And it's so funny because I was like, that must be the word, because that's not a word that I would use in a sentence. And in fact, I would ask you, when's the last time you've used manna in a sentence? And so what I did is, once I got that word, I looked up what it means in the Bible. I looked up in the regular dictionary. I started playing around with that word. And before I knew it, that word just resonated in my soul. And it meant something to me because I wanted to be able to get that manna from God, but also to be a provision for other people. I say that to say that many years later, what you'll find is at the end of the year, when you look back, that word has come to life and it was who I wanted to be then. By the way, my word for this year is light, light. And when it finally came to me, there's just a knowing that I can't even describe, but when it comes, you're like, that's it. So here's the thing, the question is, what is the word that will guide you? But here's what I want you to do with that word today. Number one, I want you to define what the word is. But I also want you to look at the many facets of that word. For instance, for me, with the word light, what I want light to be is I'm going to seek my source. For me, the source is God. For you, the source might be something different. But light acknowledges that I'm going to look to that light first. The second thing it acknowledges is I want to reflect that light. Sometimes I struggle with self esteem and I don't always believe in myself. But if I diminish me and allow that light to shine through me, it becomes less about me and more about the light. And then the last part is I just want to be light. Um, I don't know about you, but I sometimes carry the world on my shoulders. Oh my goodness, I carry the world on my shoulders. And that's not the position I want to be in 2025. I want to be light, that I can take that world off my shoulders and only carry what I'm supposed to carry. So, as you can see, the word light has three dimensions for me, and that is going to guide me through this year to come. So, I'm saying to you now, find that word. What is your word that will guide you to who you want to be in 2025? Write your initial reaction to that down. Reflect the rest of the day. If you're even writing, I have no clue what it's going to be. Write that as your initial reaction and then begin to think about it all day. Ask people if there's one word that describes me, what would it be? Start thinking, start looking at words, and by the end of the day, come back to this exercise and write down what your word is going to be, but also the dimensions of your word. What does that mean for you? Does it just mean one thing? Does it mean three things like for me? But make sure that you document that word. Um, when we get back together tomorrow, I'm going to be really, really excited about what you write, where you're going, and what you're about to do. All right. So I want to see if there are any questions about what I've just shared, if there's anything in the chat that you want to share with me so that I can address that before I give you just some final thoughts. All right. See where a couple people started off a 5 and a 9. Um, Here's the thing, perfection used to be what I strove for, that everything had to be perfect. And what I've learned is instead, what's more powerful is progress. So I start off today as a 5, tomorrow or next month, if I can get to a 6, that's progress. And I'm going to pat myself on the back for it. And if I start my year off and look at it as a 9, I'm going to pat myself on the back for that as well. Um, I see also one person just put God first, and that might be your word for your phrase for this year. Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And then I also see another 9. So you are a group that is very excited about where you're going in 2025. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do, whether you're excited or iffy. If you're iffy, let's point towards progress and say, how do I just between today and tomorrow do something that feeds my soul? If you're at a 9, then it's remembering this moment and documenting this moment, because when there are moments when you lose some of that enthusiasm, you can go back to your notes that say, today I was a 9 and this is the reason. Because sometimes the answer is within us and we just have to remind ourselves where we are and who we will be. That being said, I want you to remind you that you'll get the document that allows you to put down your question of each day. Please keep going back to that document. If something happens and you miss the live stream, we'll be sending that. You'll be able to get that link directly on YouTube and watch. So even if you don't get it from 8 to 8:30, and instead you do it at another time, stay with this process. It takes 21 days, some people say 30, but I'm going to say 21 days to really establish a habit. They often say by the 10th day of the new year is the day when people let go of everything they said they're going to do, and go back to old behaviors. Well, the beauty of this program is we're going to be together on that 10th day, and that's not going to be us. If you have other people that you think would love to share in this journey with you, tell them about it, and so that they can be on this recording with us, because we want to help as many people as possible make 2025 our best year ever. We call this process 21 days to life. And within the Whole Heart Center, that I oversee as the executive director, we call life living intentionally, fearlessly, and expectantly. Living is an action word. It is no longer good for us to just go through life and not experience all that it has for us. Intentional is I choose. I don't have to be a victim of my circumstances, but I can choose because I have power that's incredible. Fearlessly means not the absence of fear, but the courage to do something anyway. And so we'll overcome our fear in this program. And expectantly means I'm going to expect the best. I am going to be my best coach, the best person ever to help myself through this. The final thing that I want to share is that in the Whole Heart Center, there are multiple tools that we use and we will share with you during this process. And what we'll be working you through in this 21 days to come is what we call our conflict resolution model. So when we advertised this program, we said, here it is, you have these great goals for 2025, but what could derail you? And that conflict model allows us to address the things that might derail us. So, the last thing I want to share on the screen really quickly is a visual of our model so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So, let's go down to that page. And here is our whole heart conflict resolution model. This is the outcome of the research that I did on what we experience when we have a loss. And at the middle of anything is conflict. When we have some kind of loss, some kind of pain. So even when we look at 2025 and we say, oh my goodness, it has so much potential, but something could derail me, that could be a conflict. So what's going to happen over this next 21 days is we're going to have you look at that something can derail you. And as we look at it, we're going to allow you to examine your past, what's going on, your beliefs, your experiences, your personality, your behaviors, things that tend to sometimes hold you back or propel you. So we understand how that past impacts the way you will see and experience 2025. We'll also look at the present, what's going on in your life right here, right now, that might impact the way that you see 2025. So once we look at our perspective, both that past and the present, then we're going to examine the way we tend to behave. So normally, if things get hard for us, there's a reaction that's habitual. And we turn to that oftentimes without thinking. So we're going to look at our thoughts, feelings, and actions that often play out with us ever thinking about it. Once we become aware of that, then we're going to step back and say, what's the result that we want to achieve? Because when we understand the big picture, what's the big picture for 2025? What's that thing that's going to drive you even in the hard days? And when you know what that result is, and keep in mind that result is something that I can control, then we decide what our response is. And our response are those same thoughts, feelings, and actions that come out of a reaction, but instead of it being habitual and done without thought, it is a choice that we make. This response is in alignment with the result that we want. And when we begin to respond instead of reacting, everything changes. So I want you to know that when we do this 21 days, it's not just based on, oh, Dr. Denise Rollins said, let's do this. It is based on research that is proven, because in the Whole Heart Center, we've seen people do this over and over again. And then we've seen them do this with much success. So anyway, that's part of the process. I'm excited. I need to stop saying I'm excited, but I am so excited because this process has been a long time in the making. And we are going to make sure that you get where you want to get in 2025. Last but not least, I want you to know that you are not alone in this journey. When you get your document, you'll see all the ways to contact the Whole Heart Center and me. But I also want to say that personally to you on in this video. We are here for you, that you can reach out. We are partners in this process, and we are invested in your success. Why? Because wholeheartedly, we want to see you live life intentionally, fearlessly, and expectantly. We can do this. We can do this together. And I look forward to the journey. All right, y'all. Well, have a great day. Thank you for being part. And I will see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Invite your friends if you like. And then go to our website, www.wholeheartcenter.org, to learn any more about what we do and the programs that we offer. Have a great January 1st, everyone.